Hello, my name is Mordred Viking and I'd like to welcome you to this stream of Europa Universalis 4. This is the community multiplayer game and we are playing Anbennar. This time I am not myself playing, however, instead I am going to do the commentary thing. Now I should say, you probably noticed the map has already changed a fair bit, and that is because this is actually the second session. The first session was last week, which just happened to coincide with the Hard 4 tournament, so I had to prioritise that because it was a sponsored stream. So this one has already been running for a session, but we are coming in fresh with the second. Just going to double check I can in fact switch over between people. I can. Awesome. So we have got quite the roster of players in the game at the moment. Every nation that you see coloured in right now is a player. There are... Actually, I don't have a clue how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, including myself. I believe there is one person not here today, so it is 26 players plus me as the commentator. So let's just do a very quick introduction to the various nations which are here. We can see that there are a bunch of people currently in wars. There are no blue flames, although there was technically blue flames between the gnomes and the kobolds, but I think the kobolds have already given up because it's not looking great for them. So, starting from the top, we have got Malachna, played by Brother Zale. Malachna being up in the middle of the New World. I don't even know what country this is. This is interesting. What are they? Battle King Thulanor Juzorn. The hell is a Battle King? Battle Kingdom. Interesting. General becomes ruler. They get land maintenance, looting speed, general cost, but governing capacity and minimum autonomy are worse. What race are they? Human or Ruinborn? Ruinborn, so these are the Elves. The remnant Elves from the continent of Elnar. Next up we have got Atos in Magnarma. Magnarma being the centaurs. So already having unified... Wait, are these centaurs or are these ogres? Ogres! Ah, okay. So one of the races which was not really... represented last time. It was the centaurs that absolutely dominated in this region, but now we've got Atos playing as the ogres. And the ogres, most interested in the military, less force limits, less naval force limits, cheaper armies, less attrition, more morale recovery, more siege, more looting, plus 33% shock damage and minus 30% shock damage received. So they're going to be absolutely fantastic early on. Falling off a little bit because their fire isn't enhanced, but it's not decreased either. But they're going to have very, very good shock. However, the cavalry suck, so this is really going to be down to their infantry units in doing that. So who's up next? Anbennar. Anbennar being over here. Huzzah! Where is Anbennar? Anbennar is you, isn't it? Yes, Anbennar is basically the Constantinople, the Byzantium, the Istanbul of this world. It is the city of the world's desire. It has a huge amount of development, particularly good considering this is a human settlement and not a dwarven one. And they are just very, very wealthy. They have a world port, and I think they start with the world port in the second wealthiest region, trade zone in the game. The only one that's better is the Dame's Head, and if they can get a hold into that as well, that would be great. But having a player Anbennar actually means the Dame's Head is going to be less good because there's going to be less money escaping out of here. Because I am sure that they're going to try and establish a dominance over trade here. So Anbennar is Anastasia. Next up we have got Arkmill over in the Sons of Demeria, which is over here. So this is one of the adventurers. The Sons of Demeria being, I think, human as well. Yes, human military. And they are... Castanor's down there. So I don't know exactly what they're going to do. I must say, the adventurers I probably know the least about, like what nations and things like that they can form. But anyway, we've got Arkmill over in the Sons of Demeria. Then we've got Bjornvar in Conwell. Conwell being one of the very, very wealthy nations, although Conwell not looking like it's doing too well at the moment, being fully occupied as they are by Telgia and Pearl's Edge. Oh dear, what has happened here? The Conwellian conquest of Rilnar, to which a lot of people just went, nah. Ryland Temple, Crothan, Danish Temple, Pearl's Edge, Telgia, and Vertesk. Telgia and Vertesk might be played. Just looking down the list. Nope, those all look to be AIs. Well, that's a big oops. Things definitely not going the way that he intended right there. Darkfighter, thank you very much for the 32-month primary subscription. Very much appreciate that. Thank you. Last time I got reseeded to not India and thought I could see the rest of the world. By then I couldn't really impact it because I was stuck behind the Jad wall. Hey, Kalinicus. Yeah, so there are a couple of rules that we're playing with. Namely, Gowed, Lorent and Vernale are not playable. They're too powerful. We wanted to emphasise the smaller states around in Anbennar at the moment. I think the largest of them is probably going to be Nemscod right now. Jad, I think, is also not playable. However, some of the other Jadari miners are. So hopefully, like Sariand is played. So hopefully we'll see less of the complete dominance of just one faction in this area. They've done, I think, a better job of balancing the different player choices this time around, which I think has made a pretty good difference. And in fact, speaking of Sariand, we have got Bukwu in Sariand, and I think that Bukwu is a new player as of today. Sariand being Elves. Are they Jadari as well? Yeah, Sun Cult, they are. But they are not themselves Jad. So hopefully we'll be less rampantly expansionist, although I think the Sariand is one of those nations that has very few limitations in terms of their mission tree. They're just like, yeah, conquer everything. So we'll see. And we'll see if any of the Dwarves can come together and potentially block them, possibly even the Anbennar nations. Next up, we have got Commander Faceless in Nemscod, and Nemscod, as we can just see, has just taken out the bulk of the red scale and green scale and blue scale kobolds. Red scale did look like they'd managed to take out some of the green scales and made a unified nation up there, but Nemscod's just become too powerful. They did lose the majority of their manpower there, but the majority of the kobold territories were already under occupation, with the exception of the inner mountain bits, which is really where the attrition would start to kick in. But Nemscod looking like they are making a pretty good start already. Next up, we have got Darkfighter over in Railskulk, so Railskulk being one of the goblins, I think. Yep, goblin military nations. And I think the Railskulk is one of the artifice guys, so they're going to be pretty technological. They're kind of the more explosive gnomes, is how I would perceive these guys. And it looks like Railskulk has already been pretty expansionist. They've certainly taken more territory than a lot of the Dwarves would have in this point. So we've got Ruby Company down there with just 3 provinces versus Railskulk with far, far more. Myrmor is establishing themselves around Shattered Crown, of course. We do have Silverforge up there. We have Azra over there. Who's this? Snotfinger getting a little bit hemmed in. And then Durin Blue Shield over there. But there are a couple more of the Dwarven factions we will need to talk about. They just had a big uprising, Mountain Shark Separatists, in the Dwarf Hold they have actually taken, which is Mithril Dum, which is, of course, the Mithril Hold. So that's going to be forming a pretty good basis of commerce for them. And then they've also got Ernatvir down there, which is the Junction Hold. That's where all the trains are. So, yeah, Railskulk are looking like they're going to have a pretty dominant position here in the centre, the northern centre of the Serpent Spines. Faulty AI, thank you very much for the 12-month primary subscription. 12 months, that is 1 year, and you have just earned yourself those golden wings. Congratulations, and thank you for the ongoing support. The ogre's going to be making jelly from their enemy's eyes. It's actually quite good on toast. Well, I mean, with that massive shock bonus, I'm sure that they could certainly pound a couple of eyes into jelly and then spread it on toast, which they're probably buying from the halflings. Are there halflings in this? Yes, there is a bipec. Fantastic. Okay, next up we have got Abaran, which is that guy. Abaran being one of the northern Anbennar nations, got a bit of a border here, a super fortified border going up against Goward, and it does currently look like Goward and Lorent haven't lost too much territory yet, so they are still very much in the ascendancy, and actually Lorent looks like it's under attack by a number of different powers, and Goward seems to be the one that's actually surviving. So we've got bipec and Exwes attacking them. We've got Rubenair, Wineport, Great Ordening, Lazian, Trayton, Goward, North Viswall and Westmoors, and then Swancost, Redglade, South Viswall and Appleton all attacking into Lorent at the moment. Wait, Redglade? They start as a vassal, don't they? Someone's trying to split up Lorent, I believe. Yeah, they got independence. Interesting. Then next up we have got Eberthil, which is... Actually, what else can we say about Abaran? Humans, I believe. Yes, they are indeed humans. They are a Marquis, so that's going to be a Marcher. What kind of ideas do they have? Knights Magnificent, Prestige and Discipline, Diplomacy, Chance of New Air, Construction Cost, Mercenary Maintenance and Manpower, Land Force Limit and Morale, Trade Efficiency, Manpower Recovery and Production Efficiency. So a pretty good balance between combat abilities and economic. So Abaran should be pretty well positioned, and they are also here on the border between the Anbennar Empire and the Adventurers. They may well have a couple of opportunities for expansion out into the east. Where were we up to? Eberthil. Eberthil is the naval nation of this game, so we've got Dominic Imo in Eberthil. Eberthil having loads and loads of boat bonuses. Morale of navies plus 20%, naval maintenance minus 50%, naval force limit plus 33%, heavy ship plus 20%, blockade, impact on siege plus 1, marine force limit plus 10, naval combat off of owned coasts plus 1. So yeah, Eberthil is going to be a dominant naval force, probably for this entire fake Mediterranean, and also fake... I don't know what you would call that bit. I mean, I guess this is all the Mediterranean, really. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some good things from Eberthil. I don't think it was... No, it was a nation that we had previously, but I think they were kind of beaten up by Keterata, which I don't think is played this time. So I'm going to be watching Eberthil with interest. I think they're going to have the ability to really shake things up, because one thing that we didn't really see much of last time was naval play, just because Elnar was just so dominant, nobody else really bothered. But this time around, I think that there's going to be a lot more players, particularly with an Anben cost, who's going to be interested in securing trade in the Dame's Head, and then we've got Eberthil securing trade down here in the fake Mediterranean. I think it's going to be a lot more interactive this time around, particularly when it comes to controlling trade. Hey Ludi. Aloha all, don't want to bother with the commentating for a bit alert, so here goes my joke for the stream. What is Dracula's favourite streaming service? Netflix. Oh, that's good. And we have Sun Elf Inquisitor joining in.
Huzzah!
Mastani gifted a sub to Ludi. Thank you very much for that, Mastani. Ludi, welcome to the Mordlings. Good to have you joining us. This looks like fun. Have you tried Anbennar before? Because I know you really like your EU4 games, and Anbennar is awesome. It's basically fantasy EU4. It's brilliant. And we're currently doing a community multiplayer game. You have tried it. Awesome. So yeah, we are doing a community multiplayer where there are 26 of my community battling it out for supremacy. And these are always really fun to do. I am really sad that I missed last week's. Would have been fun to catch that, but unfortunately schedules just overlapped. Alright, next up we have got, how do you say that? Degakion, led by Envy Crusader. I don't even know where they are. Where are you? Somewhere I can't see. Oh, you're way down here. Oh, you're one of these guys. Okay, I don't know anything about this area. So these are also Ruinborn. I think that these are basically the Ruinborn who didn't get blown up. So they're still fairly advanced and fairly doing okay. So I guess these would be like the Inca or the Aztecs compared to North American. No, that's probably not even a fair distinction. These guys are just more advanced Ruinborn. So I'm curious to see what these guys are going to manage to do. What kind of government do you have? You're just a republic, oligarchy, you've taken republicanism. I was wondering if these would have more to do with magic. And your ruler is a powerful mage, so they might well be more of a magical nation. So I'm curious to see what exactly these guys can do. What are your ideas like? Colonists, hostile core creation, trade efficiency, development cost, discipline, colonists and settler chance, construction cost, prestige, national manpower, construction time, domestic trade power, and then trade efficiency as a capstone. So already going for an aggressive attack here. They're going to try and secure the whole island, which again, island play, it's going to be another naval nation. So it's going to be interesting to see what effect having someone strong in the New World is going to have, because we definitely didn't have any players over here previously. Next up, Ovdal Kanzad, the Cannon Dwarves. Already got themselves 4 provinces, they've got a decent standing army, and Ovdal Kanzad is being played by Justinian the Great. So, just like the real Justinian, trying to re-establish the Great Dwarven Empire, no doubt. They've got Dirtwater nearby, they've got Chain Grasper nearby, but if we actually look at what they can see, this is one of the problems the Dwarves have. And something they've thankfully kind of fixed is how little the Dwarves can see of the world. And they're going to be feeling a little bit claustrophobic. Currently going down the roads, the railroads, which makes sense. No, they are the roads, aren't they? Yes, they are. And then eventually going to go into the tunnels. And they, of course, have Earthseed over here, which is where the Dwarves basically came from. It's one of their holy sites. So they should be pretty well positioned here. They do have Sarian to be wary of. Is Mulan being played? Oh, Blue Flames, Blue Flames. We've got Sarian currently fighting against Keterata, Ebethil, and Deshak. So Ebethil is naval nation going up against Sarian. Sarian doesn't actually have a coast, so I don't know how much Ebethil is actually going to be able to do here. And then Elisna, I'm guessing, is on Sarian's side. Yeah, so this is actually a war against Elisna, which is these guys. So that is definitely going to have a naval impact. Are we seeing any Ebethil ships sailing around? We can see that's Keterata. We've got Ebethil Lights. We've got Elisna Nation troops over there. This is basically just Elisna versus Keterata. Doesn't look like Ebethil's doing too much to contain this. And Sarian has got a lot of troops on the move down here, but it doesn't look like they're actively participating. Oh no, they are moving in. They are marching to the assistance of their Elisna buddies. And Keterata basically being fake Egypt, seeing as this is basically the Nile right there, going down to Nolokaz. Area's kind of Greek elves that live on a desert island. Oh, interesting. I missed a few players. I mean, I'm still going through them, Grey Wolf. I am aware I missed a few. But Blue Flames take the priority. Who did I miss? Oh, I missed Sinvar. Yeah, okay, fair enough. But this looks like Ebethil's not really doing too much to stop this. Doesn't even look like they've mustered any of their navies, and their armies are just landing over here in Ebethil territory. Deshak, yeah, but it doesn't look like they're really doing anything here. They could probably try to sink a couple of like Elisna ships or something like that, but doesn't look like they're too bothered, so it's just a bit of a fake war. Right, so let's go back. Sinvar, so we've got Helena in Sinvar. Sinvar, of course, being the Wood Elves, and wow! They have conquered a lot already. They've done some major unifications. The Wood Elves are actually looking really, really powerful right now. And I wouldn't be that surprised if they are currently the most powerful. Let's actually take a look at that. So we've got the Command, Denraj, Gawad, Lorent, Sariand, Arakpan, Sinvar is 7th, and then Bjarneric. Bjarneric, Sinvar, and Sariand are players. So 3 of the 8 are players. I'm very impressed by how quickly they managed to get all of this together. That's some pretty well played stuff then done there by Helena. Dealing with a couple of uprisings, but otherwise, yeah. Securing the woodlands pretty aggressively. Seems to be paying off. Then we've got Holy Victor down in Ragbidkur, which is one of fake India's nations. Definitely the biggest one of these guys, not currently in the Great Power list. Your armies are currently off fighting against Paris Panchur. So generally these guys want to try and unite as quickly as possible to face off against the command before the command get too big and push themselves south. And in fact, they're already unified against the command, and the commander started this. So this is the Hobgoblin monstrous conquest of Rajnanga, which does include Rajankur on the anti-command side, and we've already got a couple of battles going on down here, although that's one of the little ones, and it looks like his armies were just sent packing. We should probably take another look at this, because this is a big conflict. The command, of course, being incredibly powerful there in the north, and really the buffer against command expansion, at least until the cannon dwarves get their act together, is fake India. I should really be calling these guys by their actual names. What is your actual name? Rahan, that's it. Right, who else? After Kanzad we did Vern, Kerberos. So, probably a direct competitor to Eberthil, considering they're right next to each other, and Vern also has quite a few naval things going on. Vern is in a pretty good position to get quite powerful. Vern, I think, is also one of the early colonizers. Quite frequently, though at the moment they've taken quantity, and we should actually go around. Ooh, Eberthil's gone exploration. Interesting. And take a look to see precisely what ideas people have chosen. But we'll come back and do that once I've done the player introductions and got a better idea of what exactly the political situation here is going to be. So Vern at the moment is trying to push across into Pearl's Edge. Pearl's Edge being another of the naval nations controlling the neck over here, same as Neckcliff, which is another player, which is another naval player power. So yeah, there is going to be a lot of naval play around here. I'm excited about that. And in fact, speaking of Neckcliff, we have got Mindboy in Neckcliff over here, which has been suggested to me as a nation that I would like playing as. One, their crest is fantastic. I absolutely love it. Blockade efficiency plus 33, sailor maintenance minus 10, global trade power plus 10, naval force limit plus 25, yearly naval tradition plus 0.25, tax 10, maneuver plus 2, trade efficiency, sailor recovery plus 15, improved relations, and then morale of navies plus 10, morale hit from losing a ship minus 10. So that is definitely going to be a big naval player. Let's take a look at yours. Land leader shock, recruit female generals, admin, army tradition, monarch skill, naval maneuver, yearly naval tradition decay reduction, mercenaries, production, settlers, and then morale of armies and army morale recovery. So not as big a naval player as these two. This is really going to be Eberthil versus Neckcliff. So looking forward to seeing what exactly that's going to mean. We've got Oscar over in Marhold. Oscar is also the host of these games. So any issues are because of him. So we've got Marhold over here, of course, being based in one of the old Dwarven holds, which was disconnected from the Dwarven tunnels, although there is a decision that Marhold can undertake to basically rebuild the tunnel, which is this one. Requires 3,000 ducats, otherwise everything is possible, so he just needs the 3,000 ducats to complete that. Looking like they're doing quite well, so there are only actually 2 adventurers. So you've got the Sons of Demaria. Marhold isn't really an adventurer, they're kind of like one of the Dwarven remnants, effectively, although they're actually human, that are established in this area, one of the few that held out against the Green Tide. So that's going to be curious, and it looks like they're already expanding pretty aggressively, gobbling up a lot of territory. And I feel like Sons of Demaria are gonna need to be a bit more aggressive in expanding. Where are they gone? Because I just remembered that this region, huzzah, uses the Native American mechanics, which is why all of this looks empty. That's because they're owned by various orc tribes, like this is Sevadir. So they've got these territories which are their settled territories, and then they have these which are tribal, which means that other adventurers can settle them as well, but that would basically give them a CB. And eventually Sevadir would be able to move their provinces into here and settle properly. So it's an interesting way of using that mechanic. I probably should play another game for myself in that region just to get a better grip. Oh, okay, Sons of Demaria down here. Okay, they're a bit bigger than I thought on how exactly this region works now. Who dat? Colour Guard! Thank you very much for the 5-month primary sub. Thank you very much for that. Marhold are people originally from the current Goward area that migrated to the Marhold in ages past. Yeah, I knew that there were humans that moved in, rather than an actual dwarven remnant, but they do hold on to a dwarven hold. Huzzah! Marshall, coming in with a 33-month resubscription. Thank you very much for that. Oh, looky, 33 months. Only 3 more until you get those new wings. Indeed, 3 months away from 3 years. Damn, it's a while. Okay, so we have got professional street mugger over here in bipec. So we have our resident halfling nation facing off against our resident gnomish nation. bipec, of course, being one of the stunningly wealthy nations around. They have the halfling mercenary buffs. So the money that bipec can earn can really be put to very good use with the huge mercenary armies that bipec is capable of funneling into, and then they'll probably be in direct competition with the gnomes to form the small country. So it's going to be really interesting to see how bipec does with that. Of course, bipec being in the Empire and under the Emperor's protection, whereas Nemscod is not. Speaking of which, who is the Emperor at the moment? So Vern is actually the Emperor. So that is going to be empowering Vern a fair amount. Next up, we have got Rarely up in Bjarneric. Bjarneric being the northern powerhouse. I'm a little bit surprised that Bjarneric was a playable nation for this, because we saw their huge rise to power in the previous game. Not quite as strong as, say, Jad were, but still they're out here kind of on their own and just allowed to expand, especially now that they don't have a Goward or Lorent facing off against them. So the only real counter, I guess, to Bjarneric is going to be Nemscod. And Frozen Moor is AI, and Frozen Moor is looking quite strong. So Bjarneric is probably going to be facing a few enemies in this area. It looks like they're trying to cut across the Serpent's Head at the moment to get to the northern coast of Anbennar. And Bjarneric doing pretty well at the moment. Next up, we have got... where are we up to? Arakapun, which is led by Rebel Thunder. Arakapun being one of the really far away Ruinborn nations. Probably actually, yep, they are in fact further away. So these are the furthest from all of the other players, with another very consolidated Ruinborn area. What the heck is this? I didn't even know this existed. Oh, these are more wood elves. It's another glade. So is that actually meant to be a forest? I need to turn on my terrain map mode. That is a huge forest. Huh. Interesting. There's probably a decision or something that allows you to get into this and then start colonizing it, I would imagine. Cool. Silas Harkonnen, thank you very much for the 4-month resubscription. Very much appreciate that. Thank you. Hello, Mordred. Looking great today. Thank you. Will be interesting to see the Reformation this time around, since there's more incentive to not switch. There is. Because I know that Coronite is still ludicrously strong. There is no Lorent player this time to actually, you know, hold on to the Regent Court. Oh man, I was on my own against a tide in that.